Who's this now? Hopefully we're going to get through that.
Hello everybody, it's 5:30, so we will start tonight's meeting. It's the Sorell Council's annual general meeting. Welcome everybody. Not quite the number in the room that we had last year, we were bracing ourselves. But anyway, I would like to begin by advising everybody that an audio-visual recording is being made of this meeting. I'd also remind everyone present to be respectful and considerate towards others attending the meeting. Language or behaviour that could be perceived as offensive, defamatory or threatening to any person attending the meeting or to those listening to the recording will not be tolerated. I'd also like to begin by paying respect to the traditional and original owners of this land, the Mama people, to pay respect to those that have passed before us and to acknowledge today's Tasmanian Aboriginal community who are custodians of this land. Welcome everybody. You all know me. Item 2 on the agenda says welcome and introduction. So I think everybody knows everybody here. We've got Greg Robertson here, who's our environmental officer. Jess, who is our General Manager of Operations. And contingent of councillors, and Robert Higgins, our General Manager, CEO, new title person. So welcome everyone. Councillors, apologies for absence. I think we're expecting Councillor Mira Casada to join us shortly. Oh, I did forget, I'm sorry, we have a new councillor. We've had a bit of a move around. So Ben Shaw, welcome Ben Shaw to the table. He's our new councillor, and Deputy Mayor Michael Larkins, who's taken Charles Woolley's position. So we've had a bit of a turnaround. I will read the meeting procedures. They go on a little, but as it's an AGM, then you have the ability to vote and move motions and participate in the debate of this meeting. So the annual general meeting is a meeting of council. However, unlike other council meetings, everyone in attendance is able to participate in the meeting. It is therefore important that questions and comments be kept brief and to the point, and that common courtesy prevails when other people are speaking. As the minutes of the meeting are recorded, speakers should identify themselves before speaking, i.e. full name and suburb where you reside. All discussions should be addressed through the chair. Before debating any motion, the motion is required to be moved and seconded. Only one motion may be before the chair at any one time. In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993, voting is by a show of hands, and only electors of the Sorell municipal area are entitled to vote. A motion is passed by 1/2 of the electors plus one voting in favour of it. Any motion passed at the annual general meeting will be considered at the first ordinary council meeting, which will be on the 20th of January 2026. Item 6 on the agenda is the annual report for 2024-2025. I believe there are copies at the end of the table. And they're also available on the council's website as well. So has anybody got a copy there? Do they want to thumb through for a minute, or you? Okay. So could item 6.1 was motion that the annual report 2024-2025, including the financial statements, be presented to council. Can I have a mover for that motion, please? Yeah, oh, Councillor Reynolds. We got one from Councillor Reynolds. Hello. And a seconder? Councillor Nichols. Thank you. Any comment, conversation on that report, which I think this year is very much more of an easy read. Some lovely pictures of our municipality in there, and I thank those that have been involved putting all the hard work in to create this document. Has anybody got? Councillor Reid?
I'd like to echo those sentiments. If annual reports reflect the way the organisation's stewardship of the organisation's been and the municipality's been maturing, and it's comprehensive and very informative. And yes, the photos are terrific.
They help.
And the charts, I love the charts.
Much more easy.
The snapshot chart in particular.
So if anybody has a look at the report online, or actually has a physical copy with them, at the front of the document there is a snapshot, as Melinda said, and it's a breakdown of the community. It's as we are now in terms of agricultural land, forestry, the population, and it's mirrored in our other strategic documents that we produce as well. So it just gives people a guideline of where we are at the moment. Are there any questions on that report? No. So if everybody is happy, can I have a show of hands then, all those that are happy with financial statements, annual report, including the financial statements that are presented to council? All those in favour? Is that including the community? That's right. So unanimous, thank you very much. There are no submissions to be discussed, and these are item 8 on the agenda are questions from the public that have been submitted for the council and general manager's response. So the first one was from Jennifer Tain, Dodgers Ferry, who asked a follow-up question to last year's motion around the council advocating for the number of people that were opposed to the salmon farming, or the progression of salmon farming into our waters, closer waters. So the response from the question from Jennifer is there, and the response from the general manager is there as well. Would you like to comment on this one? Happy with it? No?
As put.
As put. So in that is a list of things that the not recorded conversations, but a list of the conversations and any advocacy the council has done on behalf of that group. The next question was from Diana Shaw of Dodgers Ferry around the fluorphenicol antibiotic that's being used this year in the fish farms, and the restrictions around swimming and fishing or recreational activities around those pens where the fluorphenicol had been administered. And there was also a comment that it had been raised that public health is the jurisdiction of the local government. And the general manager's response is there below. Then we move on to another question from Diana Shaw, again Dodgers Ferry, Elizabeth Perry, Sorell and Chris Cowes of Coloners Marsh. question around the health and well-being and the social aspect of the municipality. Creative spaces and future plans for the Makers Market within the cultural precinct. Again, the General Manager's response there, or Chief Executive Officers. Diana Shaw again, Dodgers, Elizabeth Parry of Sorell, and Chris Cowles of Conway's Marsh submitted another question around the public halls and the use of, including a couple of halls which are not within the council's scope of operations. And also Ferry Hall and its anniversary, and the several parts to that question and several parts to Mr. Higgins's, Robert Higgins's reply as well. Are there any? Would anybody like a moment to look at those, or are you happy, or?
Well, it's more a case of, I think, once you've gone through the question and responses, and it's open for sort of question time, then they can ask whatever questions they wish.
Right. We can now open the floor to questions from the public. As it's the GM, you have the floor. As it's the AGM, you have the floor. Sharon, would you like to start?
Sharon Folding from Fawcett. Two very general questions, no emotions. If we just get an update what's happening with the health centre, that seems to have gone very quiet at the moment, and also the causeway. When either of these are due to start, when either of them are due to finish, and what's happening at this point in time.
Yeah, through the van. So with the urgent care clinic, I believe the tender process has been run. So it's being administered through Primary Health Tasmania on behalf of the federal government. So I'm not privy to what's happened, but that process is underway, and still the intention is that a facility will be operating by July 1 next year. And on the matter of the causeways, I had a project update from one of the project team last week. The federal environmental approval process is still taking some time to get resolved, particularly for the first causeway. They're not sure when they'll get confirmation of that approval to then go to tender. So I can't give you a definitive time as to when the works will commence, but they would forecast sort of an 18 to 24 month period to construct the first causeway and bridge. And then it would be, upon completion of that project, they would then commence the second causeway, which would be, it's comparatively simpler in an engineering sense. That's a 12 to 18 month process. But the federal agency has required some more information from state government on the project, or not so much the project itself in a structural sense, but more how they will manage construction impacts to a variety of environmental considerations around migratory birds and the starfish, and also just water flows generally. So they're not sure when they'll get the approval to proceed. They're able to go to tender now, but obviously they can't until they've got that federal approval.
It's been a long time in coming. Thank you.
Do we have any others? Hello.
The Ferry Hall issue. The question that I was going to ask is, will Council affirm their commitment to having Ferry Hall return to community use? which has kind of been answered in the couple of pages in the report, but if you have anything to add to that.
So, I mean, this is the AGM, there's a general council meeting, ordinary council meeting, sorry, after this, and in that agenda there's that report in there about whether the council will undertake some community engagement around the ferry hall situation. So we'll get to that in time. To answer your question, I don't think council's in a position at this stage to make that commitment. I don't think it's appropriate to run that separate process. If we do run that separate process around community engagement, around understanding the expectations and needs and wants and desires, what assets are available, what assets may be required, and what those assets should be. Which is very long-winded answer, sorry.
Okay, thanks. I do have another question on another issue. It might be a little convoluted, but I'll try and keep it as succinct as possible. This is concerning the toxic algal bloom that's happened in South Australia, and what I'm wanting to know is council aware of that, and also that IMAS scientists are saying that every element of risk is currently present in Tasmania, including high nutrient overload in our waters from salmon farms.
I have not heard anything in relation to the South Australian algal bloom. Environmental health officer is here, so, and he's shaking his head, so I don't think anything's been mentioned about that in the Tasmanian sense, or southern Tasmania at least. It hasn't been raised at any forum that I'm aware of.
It is being raised in Tasmania. There's a lot of concern at the moment, and I'm wondering if you would protect our waterways as the sort of marine protection organisation of this area, if you would like to be kept informed as to what's happening around Tasmania. It was on the news today actually that once the algal bloom has actually sort of taken place, there's absolutely nothing that people can do to stop it. And in South Australia, there's great white sharks, dolphins, seals, seahorses, and every fish washing up on the beaches. And it's of great concern to the scientists that are working on algal blooms in Tasmania.
Something we'll keep our eye on and is open for. Is there, no, sorry about that. You're here.
I'm here, yes. Should I just say a few words like bone seed, gum trees, and you can see the picture at the back, my house and the gum trees hanging in the car there, council chambers here. I don't know what to do. Can I put a motion that trees be reduced in height? I keep on saying the same thing all the time. So,
You want to put that as an official motion?
yes.
Just before we get that, the land those trees are on is a council land, so getting the motions and was successful, we can't actually back on it.
Why can't we find out who owns it?
We're trying.
It's taking a long time.
We're waiting. We don't have access to all the information, and we have to wait for that third party to find it.
Barbara Reardon died in 2018. And that's a long time ago. And we bought property from her father, Jim Reardon, way back in 1945 or something like that. Trees were only little then. Had I realised, I'd have destroyed them by now. They're hanging over the bank. I was going down yesterday to have a look and see if I could take a photo of the roots that are exposed, except it was bull tide and it was right up against the bank, the high water mark. So I couldn't do it. But my concern is I was going to bring in the buttonwood sticks, I think they're called fact. I had sort of a dozen of them that had landed on my deck again. And they bounce off my house, and all it needs is for one of them to come through my window while I'm sitting there at my desk eating something. And if I get a little bit dead, I'll be really pissed off. You know?
We will continue to try. I know Jo follows up on a regular basis because she doesn't hear anything. Nothing comes back. She keeps inquiring and nothing is coming back to her. So she will continue to do that on your behalf.
That's beautiful, thank you.
Thank you.
The other problem I've got is that the causeways got rubbish on it and little bits of, typey things. And I don't want to keep complaining about it all the time. It destroys the beauty of the causeway. You could say that.
I'll put that to the video.
Yeah, true. There's a general sort of public number you can call to report maintenance issues to State Growth, which I do as well, and I'll make sure I send another one through regards to that.
It's a bit
It's trying to see,
time.
I've seen it, it's between that and seagulls, it's not even good at the moment.
No, it's not. I mean, we want to make Tasmania beautiful, sort of.
We do, absolutely. And if we can't make Tasmania beautiful, we'll at least try and mix it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to stand up and ask a question or present a motion? No? We're all very quiet? We're all happy? In which case, I will close this year's AGM on the 9th of December 2025 at 5:54. Thank you very much for coming along to this year's AGM.
So start again.